YouTube, with the Dallas Mavericks losing Game 3 of the NBA Finals to the Boston Celtics 106-99, there is a brand new narrative being formed by the media and mostly the Windhorst himself about Luka Doncic and his relation to the Mavs being down 3-0. I got news for you folks. People are starting to really hate Luka Doncic, and the hate's kind of out of control in my opinion because a lot of these takes are overreactions and in my opinion just totally unwarranted. Like, I really don't even understand how going into the series Luka was the savior, and in my opinion he's one of the greatest offensive talents of all time, taking the Mavs along with Kyrie Irving all the way to the finals for the first time since 2011. And now after a Game 3 performance where the Mavericks lose, all of a sudden he is a foul grifter and doesn't try on defense, and he is the sole reason that the Mavericks are losing and can never win a championship. And again, a lot of this is perpetrated by Brian Windhorst, and I completely disagree. But in this video I thought it'd be a fun idea to look at a lot of the comments on a particular video of Brian Windhorst giving this take and making it popular. So I took a lot of screenshots of these comments and I want to share them with you guys today, and it's just really funny to me. So we're going to be doing some Luka Doncic defense here and reading some of these outrageous comments. Now before we get into it, I will put a picture on screen of what the video is that I'm taking the comments from, and it comes from Chaz NBA. Make sure you guys subscribe to Chaz NBA. It's a great channel. Chaz is a total Chad, and in all seriousness it is a great channel to follow if you ever are curious about what's going on in the NBA. Here's the video. It is Brian Windhorst basically giving this take that Luka Doncic is constantly foul baiting and is the reason he's immature and the reason why the Mavericks are losing. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's basically the take that Windhorst gave. Here are some of the comments on this video that I find absolutely hilarious. So we'll start with some of the big ones, which are bro bet on the Mavs. Comes from this guy, and that's pretty funny to me. I mean, a lot of these comments were trolling about that. Bro might have had the Mavericks this game. The funniest one in my opinion, only with one like, is why is there hurt in Brian's eye? Like, this is just hilarious. Can't even make it up. So, that's a real take that some of these people are giving. Maybe Windhorst had money on the game, and that's why he's so upset about Luka's performance. But in all seriousness, let's get into some of the serious ones. So, this person says, Luka getting swept in his first final series of his career will humble him. Well, actually, he said with humble him, but I think he meant will. Again, like, all of a sudden, Luka needs to be humbled, and he's immature, and he's not a good leader. Like, where was this a couple weeks ago when the Mavs were dominating the Western Conference, getting all the way to the finals? You didn't hear any of this talk, and all of a sudden, they're down 3-0, and Luka is immature, he's not a leader, and he needs to be humbled. Like, again, I'm just struggling to find where that's coming from other than an overreaction to this finals, which again, we'll get into some of the criticisms that are valid in my opinion, and some that are not valid, this being one of them. Somebody says, and this is a good take, I don't think he understands how bad everyone else on the Mavs played this series, and this is kind of where my mind goes when you see the Mavs down 3-0 and you actually watch these finals games. I would imagine a lot of the people in these comments aren't actually watching the games based on their takes, but if you just look at the numbers, man, I mean, some of the role players on the Mavs have really struggled, and that is no doubt clearly affecting the Mavericks win column, being down 3-0. So let's look at some of the numbers on the role players here. So throughout the series, Luka is obviously playing pretty well in my opinion. Maybe you could argue other than Game 3, but Kyrie Irving had a really good game last night, really bounced back in my opinion. But throughout the series, the first two games, are we forgetting that Kyrie was really subpar for the Mavericks? I mean, where is that narrative, right? Like, where did that go? So his second best player flat out just played poorly in the first two games. That's obviously going to affect the wins and losses. PJ Washington, while he's been somewhat inefficient game to game, I think he's been pretty good as far as what you'd expect from him going into the series, but then it kind of takes a dip. The big men have been inconsistent. Derrick Jones Jr. has been pretty subpar, as far as what you expected from him coming out of that, Minnesota series, shooting 38% from the field and 16% from three. I mean, he's just got to be better, Josh Green has been pretty much a non-factor. He is shooting the three well, but again, only taking 5 threes in the series. A lot of these guys, Josh Green, Derrick Jones, Maxi Kleber, they're not taking a lot of their open threes. They're like passing or attacking the closeouts, and then when they do take the open threes, they're missing a lot of times and just honestly not providing much on either end of the floor. Again, I'm not saying Luka has played perfect throughout this series. He obviously hasn't, but the Mavs as a team is shooting 28% from three. I mean, there's only one guy that we're criticizing here, and I just don't understand the narrative. So Tim Hardaway Jr. hasn't made a field goal in this entire series, hasn't attempted a free throw in this entire series. Maxi Kleber shooting 14% from the field in this series, and he's been getting some minutes. His role is a stretch big, hasn't made a three in the series, by the way. And Luka is shooting 32% from three, and that's obviously not great, but Kyrie Irving and PJ Washington both shooting 28% from three. The shooting has been super lackluster, and the offense in general from these role players and people that are not named Luka Doncic, it's hard to continue operating an offense the way you want want to when most of the guys that can shoot aren't making their shots and aren't, being productive offensively. So that's just a, criticism I would have. And I think David Chang is right in this regard. Melvin says, dude literally wants the refs to call a foul on every single time up the court. TF, he's a cheater. Okay, a cheater is crazy to call someone wanting a foul, right? And as far as dude literally wants the refs to call a foul every single time at the court, listen, let's just address the foul stuff, right? Luka is a guy that, does complain about a lot of calls, and I do think that is hurting the Mavs in some regard. I think this is a criticism I have of a lot of superstar players who do this. Instead of getting back on defense, instead of, committing to what's in front of them, with a live ball in play, they look at the refs and complain and don't get back on defense. That's a superstar quality that a lot of stars in the league have. It's not just Luka. There's some guys on the Celtics that do that quite a bit, and there are very few superstars who don't complain about fouls quite often, you know what I mean? And there are very few stars who occasionally don't get back on defense. Luka is not an exception here. He does it maybe the most, but I think, I don't think this is the sole reason the Mavs are down 3-0. This is what people are saying, and it's just like blowing my mind that if you're actually watching the game, that's what you think the biggest issue is with the Mavericks, right? It can't possibly be that the Celtics are just a better team and they're historically great. It has to be that, it's Luka's fault, right? It's Luka's fault. So again, not getting that one. Mark says Mazzulla had the perfect game plan and the Celtics personnel are executing it brilliantly. The media is scrambling to put the blame on anyone. Mark couldn't have said it better. I mean, again, no credit goes to the Celtics during any of this. It's all Luka's fault now, as Windhorst said it. This is a historically great team in Boston, and it can't be possible that they're just better than the Mavs and they're playing the best they possibly can and they're better than anyone in the league. I think most teams in this entire playoffs would be down 3-0 right now. I'm not even exaggerating. I think the Celtics are that great. And instead of, crediting them and, basically understanding that, listen, there's not a whole lot the Mavs can do even if they play their best, right? They're clearly making some errors. Some of the guys aren't playing well, but at the end of the day, this is, absolutely the Celtics taking control of this series rather than the Mavs hindering themselves from getting control. I think this is a thing where even if the Mavs played perfect, they might still be down 2-1. So just keep that in mind, those Luka criticizers out there and Luka haters. Zeffy says, Luka fans mad at Brian, all of the people cooked their best player in the world. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure almost everyone that I see on the internet saying that Jokic is the best player in the world because he just is. If people are saying Luka is the best player in the world, they're wrong, right? I don't think he's, necessarily that far from a Jokic or a Giannis or whoever you want to put in the top three. I definitely think he's top three, but this guy's acting like everyone's saying that supports Luka Doncic and the Mavs. It's insane, right? Like that does not represent Luka fans or, people that are defending Luka in this regard. It's a mischaracterization and it just doesn't make sense to me. This is the guy that I think, did the best in this comment section, and shout out to you, Yippee-ki-yay. I hope you're watching this video because you absolutely killed it. A lot of the stuff you said would have been stuff I would have said in this comments if I was engaging in it, and shout out to you, man, because there's gonna be several comments from this guy, Yippee-ki-yay, and he did a great job. First one says, he's trying, talking about Windhorst, he's trying to pin the loss solely on Luka. The Mavs got virtually nothing from Hardaway, Green, Maxey, and Jones, as stated earlier. Luka and Kyrie scored a lot, but they put up a lot of shots, which is true. They both have been inefficient in some ways, and other than game 3, I'd say Kyrie was, mostly at fault for that, but they do need to get offense from somewhere else because the efficiency from across the board, stars and role players, isn't good enough for the Mavs, including Luka and Kyrie. The Mavs need bigger contributions from the rest of the team. True. Plus, the team was +9 with Luka on the court. That's another thing people don't understand is how are the Mavs losing, but, and Luka getting blamed for it when he's literally a +9 on the court? It's a good point. A lot of facts from Yippee-ki-yay that you're seeing right here, and we'll get back to Yippee-ki-yay in a little bit. Sushi says, that's the narrative. Blame Luka. The media sucks. Everyone knows Luka needs to work on his defense. That was really hammered home by Windhorst. He didn't think enough people knew that Luka's defense was subpar, and it is, but his teammates suck. And this is kind of a good point here out of Sushi. I think the media, again, they're trying to find a narrative here that's different from what they've been saying all along to keep it interesting, that, the Boston Celtics are just a better team, and obviously they could still be in the series if they played better. It could be 2-1, could be, 1-2. They had a couple chances to win a couple of these games, particularly game 2 and game 3, but at the end of the day, Luka's defense was never talked about, going into this series as much as it is now. Luka's foul baiting wasn't as talked about before now, and you might say, well, it wasn't exposed at this level before now, and, they were winning, so obviously it wasn't talked about, but to pin all of the Mavs issues on that is wild to me. Again, it can't be, both things are true in these people's heads. They have to simplify everything to one take and black and white opinions. I don't understand it. Both things can be true. A bunch of things can be true, and I think they are. One truth, the Celtics are the best team in the world, and they're playing at maximum capacity, which means the Mavericks have to be almost flawless. The margin margin for error is so little that they can't make mistakes if they want to beat a better team like the Celtics. Second truth, Luka does complain about fouls too much, and unfortunately it does hurt the Mavericks from time to time. Third truth, Luka's defense has been really bad. Fourth truth, Kyrie and company, the role players along with Kyrie other than game 3 have been pretty, awful, right? Especially from what you'd expect from them. They have to play better. That is clearly the Mavs' biggest issue in my opinion going into this game. All of those things can be true at once, right? It doesn't have to be one person blamed. That's not how the world works. There's more nuance and complexities to these things, and those are what they are in my opinion. This person right here, man, Comrade says, stop with this nonsense. This is just ridiculous. It's the LeBron bullcrap all over again. Stars win championships, not role players. That has never happened. Okay, well, first of all, the LeBron comparison is really, really bad because name me one finals series that LeBron lost where people were complaining about his role players instead of him. Let's run through it real quick. I know this isn't a LeBron video, but his take is insane, right? I have to defend it. LeBron's finals, right? 2007. Was the issue that, he didn't have good enough role players? No, the issue was that he was the only star on that team and he was going up against one of the best teams ever in the San Antonio Spurs prime dynasty form in 2007. 2011, that is the one you can criticize. Yes, LeBron was the issue. 2012-13, he wins, right? 2014, the Spurs shot historically great throughout that series. You can make a case, yeah, LeBron could have played a little better, but, at the end of the day, they just weren't beating the Spurs that year. Nobody was. 2015, Kyrie and Kevin Love get hurt. Are Kyrie and Kevin Love role players all of a sudden? No, they were the two best players behind LeBron. He didn't have his two best players. They were not role players, right? You can't expect someone to win against the Golden State Warriors without your two best players behind you. 2016, they win. 2017 and 2018, KD Warriors. They just cleared. No doubt about it. Just a straight up fact. And no amount of role players could have helped the Cavaliers in those two seasons. They just didn't have enough. Nobody did. So, to say the narrative is comparative to LeBron and that people are, making excuses for LeBron that he didn't have enough role players and that stars win championships, not role players, is a total mischaracterization of how people criticize LeBron, and this guy just clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. Stars win championships, not role players. That has never happened. So yeah, it's Luka has to 1v5 basically. You can't have good role players. Nobody has good role players that ever win a championship. It's the stars every time. If this were true, why wouldn't the Brooklyn Nets Big Three win a championship? Why wouldn't the Lob City Clippers win a championship? Why wouldn't the Phoenix Suns right now win a championship? Doesn't make any sense. Again, very simplified, boiled down takes that just don't tell the full story. Luka played trash tonight. 27 points and 27 shots. True, he did take a lot of shots and was inefficient. A literal cone on defense and fouls out in the fourth quarter when his team needs him the most. This loss is absolutely on him. There's no room for anybody else making mistakes. It absolutely is on him. He's the reason the Mavs, lose. Completely full stop, right? I don't even have to defend that last thing because it's just, insane. I've already talked about it, but what a really, really bad take out of this guy. And then, the greatest Yippee-ki-yay comes in from Die Hard and he goes +9 with Luka in the game, -16 when he didn't play. Absolute W. Should have been a ratio out of Yippee-ki-yay here. Fortunately, he got one like. And then he replies to someone else in the comments and defends Luka against, the role player take where, somebody said the role players aren't involved enough in the offense to blame even for the offensive struggles. I'll get to that in a little bit, but Yippee-ki-yay sums this up perfectly and he says, how about get open and hit your shots? True. Plus be aggressive and take the ball to the hole when you have an opportunity. Oh my goodness. And don't meekly pass up open shots when you have a chance to make a play. I don't think people understand, other than Yippee-ki-yay in this comment section, what role players' jobs actually are. And on the Mavericks in particular, your job is to play defense and hit open catch and shoot threes. 3 and D, right? Do we expect 3 and D players to be given the luxury of getting into a rhythm throughout the game with their ball in their hands? No, that's why they're role players. Stars get that privilege. Rhythm is not an option if you're a role player, right? If you need to get in a rhythm before a game to hit catch and shoot threes, you're not going to be on the floor very long in the NBA because you're only going to get a certain amount of opportunities and you have to maximize them. That's what role players are there for, to hit big shots in timely fashion, right? Shoot efficiently on catch and shoot threes, 3 and D guys, play defense on the other end, and don't pass up open shots. Don't be afraid of the moment. Attack the basket. Make the most of your opportunities. That's what a good role player does, right? They're not going to get the ball and get a rhythm throughout the entire game. That's just not how it works, right? So really great stuff out of Yippee-ki-yay there. Again, he's the MVP of this comment section, clearly. Another one directly responding to Conway here. Out of Yippee-ki-yay, our hero. No way. His defense wasn't the reason they lost. You guys are cherry picking a couple of plays. Facts. You can do that with any player. Also true. I mean, people are complaining about Rudy Gobert's defense all playoff long, and he's a DPOI. I agree that he didn't have a very good game, but to blame him entirely for the game like Windhorst is BS. Man, Yippee-ki-yay is cooking these dudes in the comments. You gotta love to see it out of Yippee-ki-yay here. Absolute W. You took like about 4 of them, Yippee-ki-yay, so hopefully you're watching this video, man. Also, disclaimer before I forget, please don't go to that comment section and attack people. I don't want that. We don't do that here. You know, I know I'm putting their names up and stuff, but please do not take it into your own hands and feel the need to attack them on your own. I don't want anything to do with that. That's not what this channel is about. We're criticizing their takes and kind of, you know, having a laugh about it, but that's not what we're doing here. You know, that's unnecessary, guys. Please don't do that. That's not what we're about on this channel. Another, you know, great comment, and we'll wrap it up here pretty soon, from Twin here says, Luka can't be blamed for the scoring, but he has been a traffic cone in this series. You know, again, another example of some nuanced thinking here. Both things can be true. The Jays are feasting when he gets switched on to him. Okay, I get it, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit. You know, I saw this thing on ESPN today where Luka Doncic has the highest blow-by rate of any defender throughout the last 10 years throughout the playoffs, and in this series it's 67%, which is, you know, absurd. That is unacceptable, right? But first of all, the Jays feasting on him when they get switched, isn't that every defender other than like an all-NBA perimeter guy? I mean, like, what are we talking about here? The Jays are going to feast on anyone other than your top tier, you know, elite perimeter guy. I don't care who you are. So that really doesn't make sense. His first 2 takes were good. Ain't his fault when PJ can't hit shots, but Luka gives the C's easy buckets frequently. So again, I mostly agree with that. I appreciate the nuanced perspective out of him, and I definitely think there is some truth in that and maybe some, you know, criticism I would have. But here's Johnny Smith saying Boston is just a better team. They have been for a while, and finally the mental toughness to win a game like tonight, right? And again, it goes back to my point before where we have to give the Celtics credit at some point and understand that all of, you know, the reason they're winning isn't just the Mavs playing bad. It's actually a small percentage of why they're winning, I personally think. You know, this could be any team in the West. Like I said, Denver would probably be down right now. Every team would be down right now. No question about it in my mind. And we can't just give the Celtics credit. We got to blame the Mavericks constantly. It just doesn't make sense to me. And Solid says, I love how haters pop up out of nowhere every time he plays slightly below his average. True. This was not a point of contention during the Timberwolves series, the Thunder series, the Clippers series. Everyone was on Luka's side until now. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Dazinga says, NBA is a joke nowadays. Players still go there because of money. Otherwise, go to other leagues that are more competitive and physical. Let me ask you a question. Hey, Zinga, listen, man. Players go out there because of money? Oh, you mean like a job? Yeah, that's kind of what happens. Also, otherwise, they would go to other leagues that are more competitive and physical? Like, what are you even saying? More competitive? What's more competitive than the NBA? 95% of the world's basketball talent at the highest level are all in the NBA. There's no competitor. There is none, right? The Euro League is great, and all these other leagues are great. I'm not taking shots at them. What they're doing, I think, is great for the sport also, but to say more competitive and physical than the NBA is, to me, outrageous, right? Like, what other league is there that's more competitive than this league? The talent gap is so small in this league from player to player. It's insane, right? It's like never, you know, been this low. So really bad take there. One last kind of unrelated comment I thought was really funny is Raiders MK saying Kyrie can't win without LeBron, which I kind of thought was hilarious. And then I thought of somewhere I'm like, Kyrie can't win without LeBron. Oh, that's interesting. I could name quite a few other guys that can't either. Anthony Davis, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, almost all the role players that LeBron's ever played with. Who else? Alex Caruso, Tristan Thompson. What a really dumb take. I think there's probably half of the league that you could mention that can't win without LeBron. It's not just Kyrie, man. And Kyrie is one of the only ones that have been to the finals without LeBron. So really bad take there again. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, man. I thought this was a fun idea for a video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys drop a like if you did. We upload stuff similar to this every day on the channel. We post every day, all things NBA. Finals are almost over. The off season's coming up. We'll be covering tons of stuff. Free agency, NBA draft, Paris Olympics, all this great stuff. So make sure you guys stick around, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. We're trying to grow. We're trying to grind every day. I love basketball, man. This is just, you know, it's for entertainment. It's for enjoyment. I think it's funny, you know, this video. I'm probably going to get a little bit of backlash on this video. Hopefully not, but hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day today. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section if you stuck around all the way to the end. I appreciate you. Make sure you guys let me know what you think of this situation. Is Luka mostly to blame for being down 3-0 in the finals? Absolutely not, in my opinion, but let me know. Maybe you guys do disagree with me, have some valid concerns and critiques, which I'm always open to hearing. I'm just, you know, laughing at some of the bad ones here, but I'm sure a lot of you guys will have a lot better ones because, you know, a lot of the comments we get on this channel are super well thought out and intelligent, and I really appreciate you guys commenting when you do. It means a lot to me. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day today. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is your boy D Haven, as always. Peace.